And we are back. So, we begin on a cool March morning as our investigators gather together in... Would you be using the library, or is there some sort of other parlour in the house, Maddie, for these kind of discussions?
I think the library is the best one.
Yeah, so you gather together in the library at the front of 18 Grosvenor Square. Higgins, you had arrived back in London probably late last night. Too late for it to be reasonable to call on the house of a young lady like Miss Carter or Lady Irene. But this morning is perfectly reasonable. As you head over, you find that Davenport and McCrashley have also... Had you met Davenport? No. You find...
No.
Yes. McCrashley and Mr. Bernice already there. Mr. Bernice looking possibly a little less well rested than the rest. Doesn't look like he got much sleep last night. But then perhaps he always looks like that. He's not a well-rested gentleman.
Thank you for shaking the files when I stayed behind. I hope I'm still welcome in the group. I asked my brother to mind the agency while I came back over. Is there anything I can aid with? Any information you've come up with?
Right, information. So, how much did you know already?
Well, nothing. We went to the sanatorium and
right.
I remained.
There was this man that went to Mr. Davenport's here in the beginning, right?
I should really introduce myself. Pleasure to meet you, Dr. Mortimer Davenport.
Oh, yes, Dee Higgins of Higgins Placement Agency.
Pleasure to meet you. We've got all the records here if you wanted to have another look through them.
Is it easy to read a medical file? I haven't seen one before. I'm not certain what I'm looking for.
The handwriting's a bit difficult. I struggled last time. The doctor seems a bit strange, to say the least.
The doctor. Well, he certainly disliked me, I will admit, for some reason. I thought I was quite charming.
And there's a couple of recordings as well.
Would you like to catch me up, or would you prefer I read them and study them myself?
About the phonograph, I think it's better. I'll tell you a little about it. So we heard Dr. Lake speak with the young Charles, and they were talking about how can I say? Dr. Lake is looking for something. It seems he's looking to contact 80s, and he was a little looking for advice. He didn't say it explicitly, but Charles discovered it, that he was looking for the same deities he's conceived after. And the last thing we heard is that if we want to know more about all these deities and everything, we'll need to see with the veins. That's the last thing we had as information. The veins, we have to look for the veins. So we discovered a few days ago that the veins are actually a family.
Family with the last name of Vane?
Indeed, yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Also, Bidwell's journal was quite informative. It related to that relic, a sort of glass cube or glass square, glass cube, and how we found it. And
the one at the seance.
Exactly.
That was being used as a crystal ball.
Yes, myself and Lady Irene had gone in and Franco to investigate the crime scene. And from what we can tell from the journal, after the seance, he tried to do a ritual of some fashion with it. And I think that's where everything started to go wrong. But it looks like he'd got travelled to Australia on some sort of search for gold or wealth or some sort of items and couldn't find anything. And he found that glass cube thing that was being held by some Aboriginal people who refused to let him look at it. So he shot the one who had it. And when the local Aboriginal people tried to stop him seizing it, it turned out they had like a superstition or a belief that had been created by an evil spirit to steal souls. And they were saying how you shouldn't look into it because I'm assuming that's how it works. And he and his party killed all the Aboriginal people there, took the cube back with him.
Oh my God.
Dr. Davenport, I don't know if you're aware of it, but Mr. Higgins here was present at the seance.
Oh, now that's interesting.
Well, please don't hold me to anything. I barely remembered it. It was nothing. It was ridiculous, and I left.
Yes, Bidwell's journal said something that you tried seances, mediums, and other means to try and activate this cube. And in the end, he was going to try the ritual himself, and I think that's where things went wrong.
Perhaps the ritual worked and took his soul. If these things you're telling me appear to be real, whether or not I believe them.
I didn't believe him 2 days ago, I'll tell you that much.
If you're ready for more, Mr. Higgins, reread the files. You can read it as well if you want more information. But in the files, it said that the Belfon family, the Belfon childrens, were actually childrens of a certain deity, and they were called children of the deep, or the parents were the children of the deep. And in the file it said that Charles believed he was a child of one of these creature gods. I don't know how we can call them. And it seems that his sister even conceived another child with one of these creatures as well.
And by the sound of it, the Doctor was trying to contact these creatures.
Yeah.
Which needs to be stopped.
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw, but this Dr. Lake is not quite. He's dangerous.
The doctor at Albrook is dangerous?
Maybe not physically, but psychologically.
So he may be a part of this, or trying to be a part of it, or...
I think he's trying to be.
I'm going to... Yeah, go on. I'm going to...
I'm speechless.
Keeper, could I have another look through the medical records to see if I can... Because there's a particular thing I want to see. I want to see who basically reported Bidwell. Because I've got a feeling it's the butler, Yates, but I'm not sure. Just seeing if I can have any more info from the journal. Not the journal.
It would have said, yeah, it would have been his butler that dealt with the paperwork of the admission. It doesn't seem like Bidwell had many other relatives around, but as in he was the person who helped liaise and but it was kind of a rather of an emergency when it happened, because he'd lost apparently all faculties of human speech and movement and all control.
He went all crazy, basically.
So say if he had lost his soul and something else was in there, not knowing how to, operate the machinery.
Exactly, something that's not used to that sort of body.
That then goes to your bookshop.
Looking for a book on nameless cults?
Yeah.
Perhaps the ritual didn't quite work as well as they wanted, and
Of course not.
or then again they felt they needed the book for it, or they wanted to do something different. Which the way it's rather confusing, but there's a couple of different ways this could have happened. The book I've got tells a little bit about mind transfer. I don't understand any of the details on it, but it is mentioned in the book I have, where someone can transfer mind into another body.
So long as they know and trust the person.
I don't know. I haven't actually.
That's
Only-
what my book says.
Mine doesn't say that, I'm pretty sure, but I haven't had a proper look through it. It just seems rather vague, but the way things sound, it sounds like Bidwell, according to Lady Irene, because she used something, she could see things. She saw what happened, and Bidwell was talking to Mr. Yates. Then Bidwell's body fell, or Bidwell fell and hit his head. But as he fell, or when he fell, Yates then killed him. So I'm just wondering if he left, if Bidwell or whatever was in Bidwell jumped into Yates's body and mind transferred, and then killed the other body, either to cover its tracks, or it's possible because of the records. It looks like Mr. Yates was the one who did all the paperwork ended up getting Bidwell locked up in the first place, so perhaps whatever it was saw this as a way to get revenge by taking over his body and killing him.
Maybe if it's like, I'm not sure what your book says, but if it's a switch, like one in and one out, changing, then you wouldn't
the other
want.
body would have collapsed. The other body wouldn't have collapsed straight away.
If it's basically switching them, you wouldn't want the butler in the body of his master running around. So you would then go and kill the master, so it doesn't happen. So it's just a murder.
A lot of it doesn't make sense because I don't know if they swapped bodies or if one pushed the other out.
It doesn't really matter for our entirety. The Bidwell is dead.
Yeah.
The
There's
butler
something
is
in
dead.
Yates. He might not be.
I mean, the creature said the butler's dead when we asked it, didn't it?
Yes, but he also said the body was safe and that he had hidden the cube. And I think the body is with the cube in a safe place. Speaking of, we should go to the cemetery. I have my bread seed.
Oh, apropos, that cemetery is next to the house of the Baines. You know that, right?
May I point out at this point that Higgins, I don't think you'd met Maddie before, and this is sort of her first. She's like holding up some bird seed.
Yeah, Higgins is extremely confused. I just heard about some creature, and I don't know what anyone's talking about now. I'm just trying to stay quiet and catch up.
So we caught that creature. When it came back to Mr. Davenport's bookstore, we caught it, and Mr. Davenport made sure that it couldn't move, and we put it in the coal cellar. But then it woke up and it broke out, so it's at large again.
What sort of creature?
I mean, technically, it was walking around in the body of some nameless bum.
So a man, a person, and you're calling it a creature because
The creature had possessed it, had taken over it, so now it was controlling the body.
and you're sure it wasn't just a mad beggar?
Yeah.
Yes.
They usually aren't able to break out of a straitjacket.
It was
I
moving
am
in a
going
strange
to
way
make
as well.
direct contact with Mr. Higgins. There are things that are not of this world that you have no comprehension of, that most of us have no comprehension of, that have
I
visited
prefer
here.
it that way.
Sorry? Yeah.
Yeah.
We
yes,
need
I'm
to
sorry.
stop it.
Yes. Help yourself.
Now let's go to
Act on
the
it.
cemetery. And
What
I'm
does
going to
the-
get up with my birdseed and start walking towards the front door.
Wait, I still have. There's the veins. Have the building next to it. As Maddie's walking out, I will try to keep pace and tell her that building's next to it, right? So yesterday evening, I was maybe still curious, so I went there, and I wanted to take a look a bit. And they have some weird creature below their base, in their basement. There was like a little air vent, and there was some like gnawing creature below. I'm really not sure we should go there.
A rat? A gnawing creature?
No. More like a bear, but you wouldn't hold a bear like in a cellar.
Just a moment. I need to be clear. Are you talking to Maddie about this? Or are you
Yeah, I'm
the
talking
rest of the
to Maddie. I'm walking behind Maddie and talking in your direction. Whether you'll react to that, I'm just talking.
Oh, okay, no, she's not going to react.
I think Maddie's already walking, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm walking behind.
Well, looks like we're following then. We're all following, but yeah.
But.
But to be clear, Maddie has headed off, and other people are just trailing behind after her. So is everyone following Maddie on this
Of
cemetery
course.
trip, or does?
Well, Maddie's sort of in charge.
Yep.
We've all been brought in separately.
Are we sure you want Maddie in charge?
Oh, but it still is.
Okay.
You seem sane.
So what is this like? Maddie sort of marching off in front with her birdseed, and this like line of people of varying levels of understanding what the hell is going on here are heading behind after her.
Do we want to go after the creature where we think it might be, or do we want to go to the cemetery first?
Well, obviously we're walking to the cemetery first, since Maddie is walking to the cemetery first.
May I also introduce you may, of course, if you wish, split the party.
Yes, splitting the party is definitely an option. And Maddie's going to take the carriage. Bo driving.
So, yeah, who would like to go with Maddie? If you all wish to go, that's fine. If others of you have different places you want to go, that is also fine.
To be honest, I feel probably safer on the rail cart. But I'm not going. I mean, maybe I'm going alone.
I'd like to go after the rail cart thing, but I'd rather deal with that first. But
So you're going to look around some railway yards.
I've got an idea where it might be.
Okay. So So Mortimer's going to look for rail yards. Maddie's going to the cemetery.
Franco will follow Mortimer.
Yep.
I'm not certain where I'm going. Where is Mr. McCrashley? Who is he going to follow?
I'm looking for a coin actually to see which one I'm going to follow. Because this is a difficult one.
McCrashley,
Miss Carter. Head or tail?
Tail. Always tail.
Okay. It's tail. So I'll be with Miss Carter.
Then I will follow McCrashley, who follows Carter. And on the way, I will say to McCrashley, Mr. McCrashley, I'm struggling to keep up with him. Mr. McCrashley, if I accept all this is true, and which I believe you do, how do we know that we're not all... how do I know that... So you're accepting that someone is possessed or controlled by some creature and is a creature. Miss Carter, forgive me, I hope I don't offend, but could she be also, because she is clearly not among us as we seem to be. McCrashley, how do we know that we are not compromised in some way? If this, I'll follow, because she going to a cemetery for no with birdseed. These are my concerns, sir.
You've missed a few things, but after what we saw, come on, hop in the car. Tom, need to speak to you.
I climb in.
So, are we departing, Miss Carter?
Yes, please. Bo, we're going to Highgate Cemetery.
Yes,
and
Mom.
then I'm going to sit silently, but I'm going to just stare at Dee Dee Higgins.
So,
Very uncomfortable.
listen, I'm going to tell you something.
Yes.
I've been in the Black Watch all my life. I've been looking for. I was in the military police of the Black Watch, and we had a few cases with smugglers, smuggling some strange artifacts. I never know what it was about. Never. And one time I had to save my general, and things escalated. And one day I came home, all my household was killed, and I received this. And I show you my scars.
I've seen them. They're hard to miss.
The last thing I know about this case, because I'm still following it, it's a name that came back, and the name was Belfont. And now
We're a nasty family.
And now I hear the Belfonts are in some weird god, demons, I don't know what it's all about, but they are meddling with something really not natural. And the person we saw, the person who took over the body of the butler, he has nothing human left in him.
Are you saying the creature that you claim to have caught was Yates?
Creature, no, I think it's two cases apart, but it has something to do with it.
From what we understand, staring straight at you, not blinking, Yates was possessed by an otherworldly creature. It killed Yates, but walked in his body, and at some point moved from Yates' body to another man's.
Killed Bidwell, killed Yates, moved to a body that you captured and imprisoned, and is now running free around London.
Indeed, yeah.
He was in your home, Miss Carter?
Yes.
How do you know it's not in you or someone else who was in your home? And what is the bird seed for? And why are we going to the... Very well, I have so many questions. I will sit back and try to clear my mind and see where we're going. Thank you for the update. I am in far over my head. I'll just ride along.
And
Sometimes that's all you can do.
And we will get back to the trio and their little happy trip to Highgate in just a moment. But first of all, Mortimer and Franco. What are you two doing? Where are you headed?
Well, for the rail park, in hopes to find a probably by now broken-in rail cut.
Well, I need to get back to my shop to get changed out of these evening clothes from the party, but also to pick up my gun, just on the off chance.
That's probably a good idea.
And I want to have a quick look through my book to see if it gives any clues to what we're up against. But there's just north of my shop, I believe, there's a goods depot,
There is indeed.
and west of it seems to be another small, looks like a termination point of some trains. So there's chances are
Yes,
there's
the
going to be.
Northwestern Rail terminus, yes.
Would I be able to roll something to get an idea, knowing my character's background in smuggling things and living in London, which is likely to have the sort of sheds we're after?
Yes. I'm trying to now think what role this would be. I think make this.
I wasn't
Just in-
sure if education or
I'm gonna say make this an intelligence role. I would say.
not education. Okay, I was hopeful there.
I mean, it could be education if you would like.
Because he has got
I
a
feel
background in
this is more. Yeah.
a deduction thing rather than
Yeah.
knowing. That's okay. I thought it might have been because of his background in smuggling. He'd
It
have an
depends.
idea.
I imagine your smuggling as being more.
Ports
Well,
and
I mean-
harbours.
I don't know. It's up to you. Was your smuggling more like small, like high value items, or are we talking like sticking a whole crate on the back of a thing? Well,
I'd say more books, manuscripts, small items.
yeah. So you probably wouldn't really have had need for sort of like
A storage shed.
large goods sheds and stuff.
So intelligence it is. I shall have a look.
Let's see the intelligence roll. So it's just a simple success. I mean, thinking about it, the goods depot further north, which I can't, from the Great Northern Line, is probably bigger and more likely to have more sort of sheds than the smaller one, which appears to be just more of a just a rail terminus for keeping the trains.
Would it be better if I got a hard success on this? Have a better idea where to start looking.
I mean, you
Or-
get the general gist that the large goods depot of the northern, Great Northern Line would probably be a sensible place to start.
Okay.
But you
so-
suspect it's probably going to take some time searching around to find any specific part of it.
Because we'd be looking. Okay. No problem. I'm just going to see about heading to my place and just get a Hanson carriage, and if Franco wants to come along, I'm just picking up a few items, unless Franco wants to pick up some stuff as well from his.
I don't need anything. I'm not really in possession of any arms that I could use.
And I do have a quick question. Is Morgan likely to have left the key with us?
This key,
Because we were splitting up.
the key for the rail cut. Right, I gave it to Morgan.
Morgan,
Remember?
Yeah, I think.
If we
I
knew
think I
where we
will-
were going.
Yeah, I know where you're going, so it's obvious. I will give you the key.
Just
Oh,
double
go.
checking.
Just go to the car. I still got a key.
Wait.
Admittedly, we're going to see if there's any broken into, but
I mean,
no problem.
probably. Well, we'll see. Let's go grab your stuff and then.
Okay, so what are you picking up from the bookshop?
Quick change of clothes. I'll probably take my medical bag with me because that'll be an easy thing to hide a gun in. Take my gun. I'll probably take a small pocket knife. More than likely, I'll take.
Okay, so you got a gun and a pocket knife in your medical kit.
Yeah, the pocket knife is. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference, but it would
if
have been one.
if it's stuff you carry anyway, then that's fine. It's more.
It would have been one just for
Okay.
like cutting fruit. Normally, just something he would have picked up from India, more than likely. But that's fine.
What about your special little book? Are you
Oh, that's staying with me. It's in my jacket
okay? That's in your jacket.
because I do actually want to have a look through that book to see if I can find anything about.
Okay, so that will take some time to sit down and have a look through if you're prepared to sort of put aside.
If
Well,
Yeah.
How much time are you prepared to put aside for this? Like an hour or so, or?
What do you think, Franco? Have we got time for me to look through this to see what we're up against?
Not sure. It left yesterday evening sometime, so it's probably, you can be anywhere anyway. So I think we have the time, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll spend an hour looking through this book for any information on creatures from Jakob or anything relating to a glass cube.
Okay. Could you roll me a D100, please? You're rolling against the mythos rating of your book, which is 36. Okay. So, you spend some time poring through this book, and you can't find anything particularly related to Yakubians or cubes. You get distracted by a lengthy portion about, or it seems to be a portion describing, like, something called Dagon and how to hasten metamorphosis of a human into a deep one, which you find quite distracting, but perhaps not useful for this particular moment. But
Fair enough.
meanwhile, so yeah, as you're looking through this book, as you're preparing yourself, our other trio arrive outside the impressive stone entrance of Highgate Cemetery. This one of the newer of London's cemeteries, one of these magnificent 7 new cemeteries that were built in the Victorian era to ease overcrowding in the inner city cemeteries, which are large, sprawling places with some really very impressive grand architecture, Egyptian-style archways and gateways. And if you pull up this, it's still fairly. There's not many people around. It's a cold March morning. There are a few birds, a few sparrows flitting between the trees, and one beady-eyed crow.
I'm looking for the
watching
crow.
you from the top of the gateway.
And I'm going to pull out the bird. I exit the carriage. And does the bird fly away? Does the crow fly away?
Yes.
I am going to follow the crow.
Yeah. So as the carriage door opens, the bird, as birds so often do, flutters off into the graveyard, and Maddie follows along behind it. Higgins and Morgan, what are you doing?
Following her,
Of course.
because I have no clue.
So, yeah, the bird flutters from branch to branch, from gravestone to gravestone, occasionally stopping, hopping around on the ground a bit. There's a curious little hopping crow movement.
Are there any benches or anywhere I can sit?
Yes, there are benches around. There are.
I am going to, if there is a bench nearby where the crow stops for an extended period of time, I am going to sit on the bench and scatter some birdseed on the floor around me and a little bit in my skirt on my lap.
Okay.
Say, Miss Carter, a leash.
The bird hops up, starts pecking at the birdseed at your feet.
The bird is on my lap already?
Not on your lap, no,
No.
at your feet. No.
At my feet.
It's the bird. It's you know it's.
I was
keeping,
gonna say
it's keeping some distance away. It's going for the birdseed that's on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's to all intents and purposes, it appears to be a perfectly ordinary crow.
That's fine.
I would like to get away from her so that no one thinks that we're together, and just sort of take a look around, see if anyone's watching.
Okay, so I'd like you to roll me a look roll here. This is not for taking a look around. This is just... It is, but it's wrong
Oh,
kind of
boy.
look.
My kind of luck? Oh boy.
Look and look.
All right. I'm rolling the purple or the green?
The green one. I had a moment of...
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you wander some distance away. You can see there is a family walking down one of the paths, dressed in black mourning clothes. They don't seem to be paying much attention to either you or the woman feeding the birds, who you definitely don't know. And are you just wondering, or have you got any intent in mind?
Just to make sure that no creatures are approaching us. Keeping an eye on this family who I instantly suspect because they're nearby.
Okay. And Morgan, what are you doing?
I'm staying not far from Maddie. I'm looking what she's doing. But stay like I'm sort of like I'm her bodyguard or something, you know.
Okay. So, as the two of you watch Maddie watching a perfectly ordinary crow, we move back to Davenport's books, where some time has now passed, and Davenport, you've finished perusing the Vermis Mysteries.
Well, doesn't look as if I found anything interesting in here that'll help us.
Well, I guess that's that then.
It's worth trying. You never know.
Exactly. So,
Let's head out, I guess. There's a couple of places we could go. It's more likely it'll be the goods depot just north of here.
Okay, so are you heading up to the goods depot?
so wouldn't you be more inconspicuous at the normal train depot because it's smaller?
Probably not for the sort of building we're looking for.
Okay,
And
let's start and use then.
And chances are the person's hiding, so they wouldn't be at a big public depot. And this one
Okay.
happens to be quite close, so it's still more likely they went there.
So
Good.
you head a few streets north to this large goods depot, and as you get there, you can see, there's a gate, there's a guard, there's a big sign saying no unauthorized access.
That's I'm a reporter. That doesn't concern me. I'm already authorized.
Excuse me, sorry, no unauthorized access.
Oh, sorry.
He taps the
There's
sign.
someone standing there.
Yeah, I'm a guard. I just.
Oh, there's a guard. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely
Am I invisible just
Enter
because I'm
that
wearing
one.
this uniform? Like, just because my shirt matches this fence.
So, I would go up to him and say, I need to take a quick look around, and I'll just wave like a not like a cop thing, but like from like an identification from my newspaper. There might be some important information down there. It's just a quick look. Don't worry.
I think I'm going to ask for a fast talk here. Essentially, it's just trying to bluff your way past that you've got some kind of authority to be here.
Exactly. And I'm 100%. I do have all the authority I would ever need to be here, which is something that I'm technically good at, but probably gonna fail again. No! Wow! Incredible.
He eyes you suspiciously, and then looks up at the probably more respectably dressed Mortimer. Looks back at you. Don't take too long.
We shouldn't be long
And
at all.
waves you in.
Thank you for your time.
Well then,
And you can see inside there's this sprawl of sheds and buildings and like stacks of crates and boxes, and it's this big sprawling storage place. Some of these sheds and buildings look like they're in more use with people bustling around. A few are just locked up with like various company labels and signage on them.
I'll be looking for something that either looks disused and possibly broken into,
yeah.
or something with a similar size lock to what key we have
Yeah.
as well. Some sort of combination of that.
Okay. So as you're kind of, I guess, wandering around and looking, I think I'm going to ask for a spot hidden here. I think it's the appropriate role. So, as you're looking around, you walk down a few of these sort of passageways between the buildings and sheds, and then Franco, one building catches your eye. You look around and you see it's sort of set a little back from the others. It looks like it's not been used much, but someone has definitely sort of cleared a path to the entrance to get in and out. And you can see that the lock that was on the door has been sort of wrenched open and broken.
Dr. Davenport, I think I found it.
That looks it.
Look, the lock's open and somebody cleared the way to and fro.
Yeah, that creature was strong, wasn't it? It ripped its way over a jacket, so you could easily rip that door open.
Yeah, and it did the same on the coal cellar, on the chute down. Climbed up the chute and ripped up. I don't even know how much strength you need for that kind of thing.
Should we try to get a closer look?
Yeah, I called you mainly because I didn't want to go without the guy with the gun.
Good plan. Keep
And
us
then I
there.
would.
Oh, sorry. Is there many people around here? Is this area quite empty?
There's a few people, but this area does seem to be a little bit more out the way and quiet. There's not anyone in your immediate vicinity at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd go 4, so that in worst case, he still gets turned to shoot.
Good plan.
Okay. So you.
I'll enter the
It's probably worth just trying to sneak up and listening first to see if we can hear them.
True. I'll sneak up first.
Yeah, you're much better than me. I'm going to hang back a bit, but not too far back.
Alright, give me a listen roll then, please, as you slip up to the building. Let's see what you hear as you approach. Okay, so you hear, as you get nearer, you can hear there is a sound of someone inside it, and they sound like they're singing badly. It's a voice you don't recognize, Franco, but you can hear them remembering. The worst singing you've possibly heard ever. It's out of tune. It doesn't seem to have any words to it. It's just generally bad. But there's definitely someone in there, and they're not making much attempt to be very quiet.
Okay. Is there a window that I could look into?
There's no window. There's just the door.
Okay. I'll try to open the door a bit and get a look on the guy. Whether it's the same person that we, restrained or not.
As you push open the door, you can see this dim interior. It's lit only sort of by light coming through like a crack in the roof. And in the gloomy darkness inside, you can just make out a hunched figure sort of perched on one of these crates. The light glints off what looks to be a bottle in their hand, and there's And you can see light glinting off as other sort of exposed like bottles and broken glass on the floor. And you see the figure as you watch raises this bottle to the mouth and like takes a swig. And it doesn't look to be the same man you had in your coal cellar, or Maddie's coal cellar, to be more precise. This man looks younger, cleaner. You can't really see in the gloom, but possibly smartly dressed.
Oh. I'll turn around and go back, and I'll go to Dr. Davenport and say, I think there's a butler in there with the soul of the guy that we restrained. Because he's in there and drinking, but it's looking not like the guy. I think he's more smartly dressed. I think he went there to change. You know?
Unless there's two of them.
He sang normal, I think. I mean, badly, but, drunkenly. I don't think that you would poison yourself if you were...
Might be a different person altogether. I'll better take a look, because I saw the butler.
Oh, that's probably good.
And if he's drunk, then less chance of him spotting me anyhow.
Yeah, I would still try to help you to move as silently as possible.
I'm still asking I'm going to ask for a stealth of Mortimer here. You can't kind of just carry him and quietly place him in there. Or you could, but it would be the opposite of stealthy. Just go.
So just the green one.
Yeah, just the green one. So as you get near, as you go to peer in, the figure turns, and sort of as the door swings open perhaps a little too far and a little too much light comes in. Mortimer, you recognise this is Yates. Looking worse for wear and a lot dirtier than when he stumbled into your bookshop. This is definitely Yates. And he's looking at you with an expression of blank incomprehension. And he...
Oops.
Morning?
Morning. I think this isn't my place. Please excuse me, and I'll just turn and go to talk to Franco.
Okay, are you just back away from this confused-looking man?
Yes. Well, I'm confused as well, so...
I think we'll get back to you two in a moment, because I think the Graveyard Gang have been sat feeding the bird for a little while now. Time ticks by. The bird pecks up the last of the seed on the ground, cocks its head and looks at Maddie.
I sprinkle a little bit of the bird seed. I still have the bird seed in my lap, but I sprinkle a little bit of the bird seed just at my feet.
And as it kind of looks at you and then kind of starts as though it had heard something and flutters away to land on a nearby grave.
And I will listen. What did I hear?
Make me a listen check, please. Dee Dee, are you still wandering between graves, just keeping an eye on this totally suspicious family who are now suspiciously laying flowers on a grave and looking sad?
Feel like after a minute or two, I'll forgive them and be just walking around randomly looking for anyone else who might be suspicious.
I don't think there's anyone else
Then I'll
suspicious around.
wait.
I'm going to say make me your choice of spot hidden or listen here. With your to listen or be looking out for something that may be going on. So you are kind of looking around.
Maybe I'll roll a listen. That'll be green or purple.
Green, please.
Okay.
Morgan, are you still standing guard and watch?
Yeah.
In which case I will give you your choice of listen or spot hidden here is what you want to.
I'll be spot hidden.
Okay. So,
I
Maddie,
see nothing.
yeah, there's a nice, there's some sparrow. Is that a chaffinch in that tree? No, maybe it's a coltit. He just watches a couple of birds flutter by. Maddie and Dee Dee, you both hear what sounds sort of like the sound of shifting earth. Sort of perhaps settling or shifting, moving earth from somewhere nearby.
With my hard success, do I hear the
I was
direction?
just going to say, Matt, it sounds like it's coming from sort of a little way off the path from the graves themselves, from one of the graves. It's like the ground is settling downwards.
Is the bird sitting on top of a grave marker for where I think it's coming from?
A couple of graves away, yeah.
I am going to stand slowly and let the bird feed fall from my lap. And I'm going to walk slowly so as not to startle the bird towards where I'm hearing the earth move.
Okay, so as you walk forward, you can see you're sort of in this part of the graveyard, not far from sort of the wall of the that runs along the side of the graveyard, and you can see the rest of you see as Maddie walks towards this grave, and as you look now, you can see. I mean, all graves settle from the time that they're dug. The earth slowly sort of sinking down. This one looks like it's settled a lot more than the rest. There's a definite dip downwards before this grave, and the stone itself is leaning at a quite severe angle. Looks almost ready to topple.
As Maddie walks in the... Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just, as Maddie walks that way and having heard something, I will walk in the same direction she is, sort of triangulating, and look at McCrashley, try to make eye contact, and then keep heading toward the settled grave.
What's on the grave marker?
The grave marker is you just check my notes. It's alright. I wrote this on a random page somewhere a while ago. Robert Tansley. Always in our hearts.
What was the name again?
Robert Tansley. It looks like he died around 3 years ago.
Is there anything unusual about the settlement? Does it look like it's still moving down, still sinking? Can I see where the sound came from?
The sound, now you're here, it definitely looks like it is still settling downwards. You watch it, then there's like a little bit more earth shifts and slips. It's almost, yeah, it looks almost as though the ground in this here has collapsed away down into somewhere beneath.
Miss Carter, do you see this grave is sinking?
Mm-hmm. Keeper, how fresh is the grass, or is it look like it's been recently dug or anything like that?
It doesn't look like it's been recently, apart from where the earth of the grave itself has collapsed downwards. It doesn't look like anything else in the area has been disturbed. The graves in this area are not recently dug. They're all at least 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you're looking, you can see that there are other graves that are definitely sunken downwards. This, perhaps not as extreme as this one, but there are others that are definitely sinking and collapsed.
I'd like to go to the edge and poke at it with my foot to see if it collapses any farther.
So as you poke the earth with your foot, it shifts and slides, and a clump of earth essentially collapses downwards until what you're looking at is the dark opening of a hole where this grave should be.
This is
It's like a mole's hole, I guess, is the best way to describe this. But, or a badger's
this is
net, when
not
you
a
see the
grave
entrance
at
of it.
all. Miss Carter, this is not a grave at all. It's a hole. Deep
Oh, it
hole.
might
It's
very
a
well
tunnel.
be a grave. Where's... I am going to stop talking. I'm going to look around to see if I can find any sort of keeper building, a groundskeeper's building.
Yeah, does you think you probably passed one on the way in, sort of like the groundskeeper's cottage, or I can't remember the technical term for graveyard protector. That's not the right one. Groundskeeper. We'll settle with groundskeeper.
Yeah, groundskeeper. I'm going to go to the groundskeeper's cottage and knock on the door.
Okay. What about the other two of you? Are you going with her, or?
Since she doesn't say anything, she just walks away. I watch where she's going and then keep investigating this sunken grave. If there's no coffin, sarcophagus, if there's nothing but a tunnel leading down,
It's hard to see. You'd have to probably get down there to really know what's going on. But from where you can looking, you can't see a coffin. Hang on, there might be an edge of a coffin. It's hard to tell.
McCrashley, can you see anything down there? We should be able to. Here, hold my hand. Let me step down. Help me get down there for a moment, and let's see what. I mean, pull. If I yell, pull me out immediately, please. This is odd at the least. So I'm gonna lower myself in.
I'm gonna give you a bonus die. So let's roll the purple one for a spot hidden down here for investigating this, because you're
Spot hidden.
with a bonus die for being down the grave.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that is failures across the board. So your choice here is you can spend some luck. I think it would be 10 points of luck to pass, or you can push this roll, which essentially you can roll again, but if you fail again, something bad is going to happen. And so you kind of probably descend further and put yourself at more risk of falling or somehow otherwise collapsing this hole.
My luck in this game is the worst. I've rolled only one success, I think, in the entire since I've ever played.
Needs to be someone.
I'm gonna spend my luck because this is the only time it's useful to me. I'll spend luck.
So that's reduced 10 points from your luck, please.
Okay.
And you're able to get a look at down this grave without it all collapsing in on you or something otherwise disastrous occurring. And as you're looking, you can see there is a coffin here. But it looks very much as though it has been broken. Not that the lid's been taken off, but just that the end of it has been clawed or wrenched away. And the lead lining inside buckled. And yeah, it looks very much like some kind of wild animal has broken into this coffin.
I very nervously look around. Is there any other way out other than up?
Yes. You now down here, you can see this tunnel goes deeper. It's big enough for a person to crawl through as well. This is
McCrashley, I'm ready. Pull me up, please. Pull me up, McCrashley.
I'll try to pull him up.
There is something broke out of that coffin and crawled deeper into the ground. There is a tunnel wide enough for us to travel into. I think it is time to contact Inspector Barnes, don't you?
What do you want Dr. Barnes to do?
Well, he's a constable, a police officer. Aren't they supposed to do these things?
Yeah, but it's a strange case, and Dr. Barnes asks to Lady Irene and us to work on this, so I don't think he could help us with anything. Maybe
It's in our
support.
hands then. Ah, that's the worst news you could have given me, sir. Well, then I suppose we need to tighten our belts and wait for Miss Carter to return and give her this information. I bow to your instruction then. I don't know how to deal with this.
Deal with what?
Investigating a hole of some creature that's broken through a coffin.
Yeah, but
Can
I
you-
think we better wait for the rest of the group to investigate this further.
Very well. There were a few other. Look here. There are a few others that have sunken a bit. Let's go poke around. So
Okay.
I'll go tap at the other ones that have softly sunken.
Okay, as the two of you start poking around, which one of you has the lowest luck now?
30.
So can I ask you to roll on the behalf of this diminished group? A group luck roll? Mr. 30 luck. I waited until after you'd spent it to ask for this, aren't I? Just like that.
So the green one, correct?
Yep. Oh.
Hard success.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll bear that in mind when we get back to you two.
Okay. I did not die yet.
No. Or get arrested for grave robbing. Maddie, you head up to the groundskeeper's cottage, knock on the door, and it's answered by a man probably in his late 40s, dressed in smart workman's clothing, like a well-dressed gardener sort of style of clothing. Sensible jacket. Good morning, Mom. Sorry, I was just stopped to take some tea. Can I be of any assistance?
Yes, I was I was walking and missing some family members. And I heard this sound and I noticed that some of the graves have sunken significantly, and I'm quite concerned.
We got a little subsidence up in the northwest corner. Yes.
I'm quite concerned. Can you come check it out, please?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think sometimes there's a few badgers around as well. I think. Get in there and start digging away. I mean, but the coffins are online, so you don't worry about your loved ones will be resting in peace. Don't worry about that.
I'm still quite concerned.
Oh yes, sir. Let me just get my coat.
Thank you.
And he slips inside, gets his coat, and follows you back across the graveyard.
And I'm going to take him right down to Robert Tansley's resting spot.
We'll return to that in a moment. Meanwhile, back at the railway yard.
Yes, when I sort of leave the doorway, I'm just going to sort of back away and wait for Franco to follow me. We'll just move a small distance away so we can talk without risk of being overheard. And I'll try and whisper, that's Yates in there, the butler.
Also,
He doesn't seem to be the same when I saw him. It could be... I don't know whether it could be Bidwell possessing him, or it doesn't look like it's one of the creatures. Because why would it be singing drunken songs if it's some alien creature?
How about the guy, the bum?
That is true.
You know, the actual soul of the guy. So that would prove that it would switch souls whenever it switched bodies,
It's a
which in
very
turn
good point.
explains why it killed Bidwell. Because otherwise, Bidwell would have been able to use his knowledge about what the heck had happened to do something about the situation.
And that would mean Bidwell would be in the bum's body, basically.
Yeah, but no. The I mean, okay, so the creature said that Bidwell was in Yakup. That
Yes.
it itself wanted to go to Yakup. So that the butler and the creature switching places, then the creature killing the butler. Right? So the butler would have known stuff just by exposure. I mean, just look at what we know by now.
This
And
is
then
very confusing.
And so it's killed it. And the bum, who's got no clue whatsoever, is just being left alive with the body so that the body sticks around.
So Bidwell and the butler swapped, and then he killed the butler in Bidwell's body.
Exactly.
Well, what I'm thinking of trying to do is talk to this person and see if I can convince them to show me. I'll pretend I'm looking for a storage shed or yard to store some medical supplies, for argument's sake, and I'll see if I can convince them just to show me around and just get them to come outside, and whether you can try and sneak in and have a look inside.
That's a good idea.
To see if the glass cube's there.
Maybe try to. I'm not sure what kind of medical supplies you have, but there are some that you can use for recreational stuff. You might just be able to bribe him if it's just a. I mean, he's drunk, so maybe he might be open for that sort of stuff.
Something along the lines of opium, or opiates, or laudanum.
For example.
Okay, so you're going back inside.
Well, I'm staying outside.
Okay.
Hide somewhere that that he can't see me.
Hey, I'm not in any trouble, am I? I think I've got permission to be here from.
No, you're not in any trouble. I'm just trying to look for somewhere to store some medical supplies, like one of these sheds. But I don't know what would be the best one to store in. Do you have any ideas?
No.
Have you been here long, or do you know this area well?
I've been here a while. Night watch. I'm a night watchman.
Oh.
Yeah. I make sure no one comes in breaking in at night. Good job it isn't night, otherwise I'd have to.
You'd be at work at night.
Yeah. Get the.
And you wouldn't be able to drink. Well.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. Would you be able to just? Well, you must know this area quite well. Just a quick. Show me some of the sheds in this area.
Not really my job, but.
I can bring a drink back for you later, or.
I mean, I've got kind of a. Being paid to keep. I've been told to keep an eye on this shed. You see?
Oh. You're working.
Yeah. The wizard told me to keep an eye on it. Good
plan.
Yeah.
What if I were to pay you to show me around just this area? We're not going far.
I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to be showing you, but I mean, give me a fast talk roll here. It sounds like you're trying to.
Not charm?
But, I mean, it'll be harder if it's charm. I'll let you have it's fast talk or a hard charm here.
I'd go with charm because I've got no fast talk.
Okay.
And I would offer him to bribe him help because I was going to offer to pay him.
I think I'm still taking this as a. If he's playing it as charm, this is a hard charm. If you're playing it as persuade, I'll accept a normal persuade or a normal fast talk. Yeah. Hey. Oh, well.
I'm charming.
Look. just a quick look round. Look at it. I mean, there's not much to see. It's sheds,
True.
but I can show you some great sheds. They're like
Yeah,
the best sheds.
fantastic. I've got no idea about sheds at all, but
Well,
just show me around.
Most
the
important thing is,
expert.
does it have a roof with holes in it? So you always
Exactly,
check the
and a
roof of
door.
the shed.
You
Smart
lead the
guy,
way.
cutting it on, and he like pushes down. He looks quite proud of his what it definitely looks to be like butler's livery jacket that he's wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it can't be long. If I'm gone when the wizard comes back, he'll be angry.
No problem at all.
Right.
We won't be long at all.
Right. Well, here's a shed. Here's another shed. And he begins to give you a really terrible tour of sheds. This man knows nothing.
This is a shed. This is a bigger shed. This one's got a door. This one has 2 doors. And so on.
Yes.
This one even has a gate. I would use the time to, go in, look around, and get out as fast as possible.
Okay. You step inside this. It definitely looks like this man has been living here for some time. It's not very clean in here. He's not a very tidy person, but give me a spot hidden. Let's see how much you can find whilst Mortimer is getting the exclusive shed tour.
You need it hard. I'm willing to pay the luck for that.
No. You look around, you can see on top, it looks like there's definitely been 2 people staying here. You see there's like a second makeshift sleeping area has been set up. And you can see that the wall around that is covered in these strange scratch marks that are no language that you've ever seen, no writing system you've ever seen. This strange pattern of scratch marks and lines, a few diagrams. None of it seems to make much sense to you. And it also looks like near this second sleeping area, there's someone's like sort of dug out and tucked away a little hidey hole amidst a pile of stuff. Within which is tucked what looks to be probably a set of house keys and nothing else. But with just a normal success, even with a normal success, you can see there's a mark in the dirt where there was something heavy resting here. Something about this big.
There was something.
It's not currently there.
Okay. So, assuming that this was a certain artifact that we were looking for, that might have been resting there and isn't currently, I will look at those markings, put my back to the wall, to the door, listening for when they come closer, and use the time that I had left to sketch as much of this scribbling as detailed as I can down.
Okay. Make me an intelligence check and a luck check here, please.
In
2 separate things.
intelligence and a luck.
Yes.
So I can give you those 7 points.
Yeah, so you think you've made a fairly good copy of the scribblings on the wall. By the time you hear the crunch of boots of what is clearly Mortimer and the man wearing Yates's body returning, because you can hear, anyway, and here's my shed.
Yeah, and that's the moment where I'll be sneaking out as fast as I can so they don't catch me inside.
Okay, so you slip back out.
So, thank you very much for that tour. I didn't know there's so much to know about sheds.
Well, you see, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. This wizard person sounded a bit strange. Why is he called the wizard?
Well, he's got magic. Look, you see me at the beginning of this week, I was 20 years older than I am now. and like this much shorter.
He shrunk you? Or he
No,
made you taller?
he made me taller.
That's better. That's
I
better
ain't
to
got a
go
mirror,
that way.
but I think good deal more good looking than I used to be too. It's,
Oh, well. Yeah. What name do you go by the way? My name's Frank.
Old Tom, or I suppose younger Tom. No.
Younger old Tom.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
No.
And I shall
Thank
make
you for
my
your
exit.
money.
And yeah, I'll just wander away towards where I hope Franco is.
Yeah, I'll catch up to him. And not say, okay, so I found a couple of things. This set of house keys. And like a dent in the earth where there was like that big an object. Heavy enough to, leave an imprint. Probably a missing artifact. And I'll pull my sketchbook, my notebook, the sketch with this was scribbled into the wall. I'm not sure or positive how good I, because I can't read any of that stuff, but maybe Miss Carter can.
Stands a chance. Keeper, does any of it make any sense to me? It probably wouldn't, to be fair.
No.
Looks...
No. I mean, actually, make me an intelligence check. Not that this is no language you know and no writing system you know. But
Hard success.
if you sort of ignore half the scribbled marks, sort of look at it, twist it round about 90 degrees, you realise what you're looking at least part of it, is a strangely roughly sketched map of London. You can make out the lines of the river. You can make out, seems to have marked the rough location of Bidwell's house, the rough location of the railway depot, of your bookshop, of Grosvenor Square, and a couple of other locations near your bookshop. It's a hard success you know to be sort of other bookshops.
Well, this looks to be a map.
There's writing on this map. You don't have no idea what the writing is, but it looks to be writing. It definitely looks like whatever this was has been marking out locations. Yeah, I think those are the only ones that would be marked.
Well, this looks like it's some sort of map with all these places that, well, seem to relate to it at the moment. It's got my shop here, and I'll just go through the other locations on the map and point them out to Franco.
That's the I could have guessed that.
Just if you turned it 90 degrees, you can.
Why would he write it? Why would he write it with west up? Whatever. It's fine. So
this creature probably is a bit strange and doesn't know London.
Fair. I mean, okay. So we have a map of London. We have some weird scribblings around it.
The other thing that's useful for us, we have Yates, at least the body of Yates, and he's the person the police are looking for.
That's true. What do we want to put poor Tom into custody for something that he didn't do, though?
I don't think we need to do anything yet. He says he's a night watchman. He looks over this depot at night.
Yeah.
So, and he's lived there for quite some time, so chances are he's not going anywhere. So we'll have to see what everyone else decides and make that call then.
Yeah.
But he is the person the police are looking for, at least the body is.
So I wanted to. The fact that he's supposed to watch this at night means the creature's coming back. And the creature's gonna be sleeping because the body needs sleep. So that means the artifact will be here. And you could steal it if you can get past him.
Definitely we could. Oh, yeah, the security guard probably wants us to leave as well.
Yeah, that 100%. I don't think we can do anything right now. Here anyway.
Yeah, so we should start making our exit really before he gets too suspicious. But yeah, we'll have to see if we could sneak in at night.
Yeah. You have like a little change to give to the guard as a thanks.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
probably
It'll keep him
exactly.
happy. Also, if we come at night, he won't be the one on guard. And Tom will be. Old Tom or Tim? Tom, I think his name was. So we could always bring him a bottle of something to drink to keep him warm at night.
Sure.
He seems to like the drink, so we could do that and
That sounds good.
make our way past him that way. So yes,
Okay. So as the two of you
that's the plan for the moment. Do you think
head
we should
out
catch
of
up with the others?
so as the two of you
Yeah.
head out of
Sorry,
the
we're
goods
heading
yard.
out.
Yeah. Sorry, it's always a slight delay that gets you on Zoom. As the two of you head out, back over at Highgate, the groundskeeper has walked over to the corner of the graveyard to see, well, Dee Dee and Morgan poking around at graves. What exactly are you doing, and how suspicious do you look?
We look concerned, as though we're checking to make sure none others will collapse in so that no one falls in.
Okay. Yeah, and as you've wandered around, you can see in this section, sort of close to the wall, there's about 12 graves that are definitely sunken down. In fact, there's only one grave that looks unsunken in this particular section.
And
None
as
of
we
them have
press on
collapsed
them,
you can see there's give in the ground, and you realise that if you put enough weight on here, they may well collapse, like Tansley's grave.
I'd like to take a look at the one that is not sunken, see what name is on that one.
Okay, so as you look at that, lean forward to look at, you can hear now the sound of approaching feet as Maddie and the groundskeeper arrive. The one unsunken grave says Arabella Gray. Beloved daughter, sister, and wife.
Okay. Miss Carter, you've returned.
Yes, this is the groundskeeper, and I'm going to direct him at the one that now has that hole in it that had sunken completely.
Ooh.
This isn't safe.
Oh,
I was
no,
sitting.
probably.
I was sitting, taking a moment's rest when I heard something, and I came to see, and I could have fallen in.
Quite.
Yes, these badgers have been quite prolific. Quite prolific indeed. Well, I forgot my accent there for a moment. Well, I shall have to close off this bit, won't I?
Badges, you say, sir?
Oh, yes, they dig awful big holes.
Not quite, perhaps, as big as this. The others here seem like they will They would fall in if you stand on them. So yes, perhaps you may cordon them off, but
Yes, I'll get some
Do
rope and...
a bit of exploration, perhaps there.
Or it might be
Seems to-
foxes. They can dig some big holes.
Makes
Whatever the
sense.
case, I am very concerned, and you should probably have something done about the badgers. The last thing you need is someone visiting a member and being beset by one of these wild animals.
Well, they only come out at night. And no one the graveyard gates are locked at night, so we don't need to worry about anyone getting attacked by feral badgers. Or foxes. Could be foxes.
Either way, the animals should not be in the graveyard, because the last thing you need is someone to accidentally come across their den and be attacked in the middle of the day.
Oh, yeah, I'll try it. I'll take your considerations into concern, Mom. I'm sorry if you found this upsetting. Come along. I don't want anyone to upset the badgers. Come along. Come along. And he sort of starts ushering you away from the graves.
Is there any way to do an insight check on this fella?
Yes, that is psychology.
Ooh. You mind if I do
roll
that?
away. Yes. Psychology is this game's equivalent to insight.
Okay, then I
Get a read on someone.
put a lot of points in psychology.
Okay, so he seems unnerved by your interest, and it's hard to get a sense, but as he sort of insists, oh, it's just badgers, you sense there is fear behind it, almost as though he's deeply in denial about something. You don't know what, but there's something he really does not want to think about here.
Gonna walk up to him having this sense of he's trying to hide something. I'm gonna kind of say silently to the aside, "Sir, why don't you just tell us what's going on here? This is unusual, no?" See if I can persuade him.
Oh, yeah, give me a try and win him over, persuade him over.
Is that a persuade roll? Yeah, just persuade.
Yeah, persuade or charm.
Okay.
Oh, it's badger. It's just badgers. Nothing to worry about. It has to be badgers. Nothing else it could be. Nothing else it could be. Yeah. Just
I make eye contact
and
with.
he kind of leans back over. Just, if I were you, don't come here at night.
Badges.
Badgers. Whatever those badgers are eating, they've got awful big and awful scary, and I don't want to go anywhere near them.
Nasty badgers.
What do you do to get rid of badgers, sir? Do you carry weapons at night out here?
Well, usually, you'd get someone with dogs in, or get a shotgun in and get poison. But these days, I lock my door. I put a chair in front of it. Then I lock my bedroom door. And I don't go out at night.
Good sir.
They're very big badgers.
Do just that, sir. Protect yourself.
He gives a very solemn nod as he ushers you back. And you see him heading to his cottage to retrieve some rope.
I had gone back to the bench and sat down and started trying to feed the bird again.
Higgins.
That particular crow has fluttered off now. It doesn't seem to be in evidence.
Higgins. Come over here.
Okay.
Listen, you saw a hole. In which direction is this hole? Can you tell?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly where the hole went out.
It seems to be going down.
And
Straight
yes, but
down.
in which direction? So if I follow in bird fly, I don't know how you say that, but if I follow the visual in tunnel in my mind underground, and I follow the roads, I can see a house near or something like
No,
that.
it looks like it would be if you'd probably would just go deeper into the graveyard
Okay,
if
so
you just followed that tunnel at the angle it was.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm not sure. Maybe someone would have to go down. Maybe we could get a dog in here, or something brave. Someone braver than I.
But yeah, is there anything else you would like to do whilst you're around Highgate?
is there a path of graves? If I follow the graves, the sunken graves, can I follow a certain path?
It just seems to be this cluster up against the wall of the graveyard, like the outer wall of the graveyard.
All right.
This clustered patch of.
And what is behind the wall?
It's this high brick wall. It looks to be perhaps the garden of a large house on the other side.
All right.
You can just make out like the tops of trees, perhaps some rhododendron bushes.
I've collected my bird seed and started walking out the graveyard.
As Maddie
Well,
just glides from place to place, feeling.
McCrashley, where did
Confused, man.
Carter go? Where'd Miss Carter go?
She probably went back to the card.
Did you notice this one grave is untouched? I wonder, we should have asked him how long this has been going on. Well, he doesn't seem to want to talk about it, but this would be a wonderful place to investigate if we had weapons or police.
The name of the grave, Arabella Gray, isn't it?
I don't know who that is.
When we went to the party, and I'm going back out of the cemetery to follow Miss Carter. When we went to the party of the anniversary of Dr. Davenport's sister, there was an Earl Grey who was present at the party.
A person named after the tea?
I don't. Maybe it's the tea that's named after him. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think there is more than one Grey in the world. So yeah, it's coincidence. I don't know. But yeah, there was an Earl Grey, so maybe a relative of this person. But yeah, it's strange that this particular grave was untouched indeed.
Was this Earl Grey an elderly gentleman?
He was, no?
Sorry, I got distracted looking up who Earl Grey
Don't
Tea's
worry.
actually named after. Completely different Grey. Because, yeah, a guy who was possibly a prime minister, so no connection. There's just a lot of Greys running around.
He was kind of he was
he
in
looked to be in his 60s, I think this.
yeah, something about 60, late 50, begin 60, I don't know.
I don't suppose you saw whether he had a wife or someone on his arm.
No,
No.
he didn't. No, he didn't.
Well, perhaps this is his ex-wife, his deceased wife.
That's
Interesting.
possible. Yeah, that's possible.
This madness is all tied together somehow. How can it be another coincidence?
So, as you follow Maddie back to the carriage, and as Mortimer and Franco leave the goods yard, I think this is a good time to go to break, and we'll be back in 10 minutes' time as these two mysteries continue to unravel. See you soon. Right on time. So, before the break, Franco and Mortimer had taken a trip to a railway goods yard and met a man who knows a wizard. And Maddie, Morgan, and Dee Dee followed a bird and found that giant badgers have been breaking into graves. And that was where we left off. And now, where's everyone headed? Are we heading back to the society, or do you have other destinations in mind?
I've got a feeling we'll probably head back to the society for now, but I probably want to chat to Franco a bit on the journey.
And for the three of us, we'll probably head back as well. But if either of the others decide to hijack the carriage and take us elsewhere, Maddie's not going to fight it.
Nah.
Where would I possibly take us? I have no idea what's going on.
Let's go back, find the others.
So, yeah, Mortimer, was there anything you wanted to say to Franco in private before you got back with the others?
Well,
or
as we're travelling in the carriage, Franco, I've got an idea what we can do with that glass cube thing if we get hold of it.
That would be?
Well, according to Bidwell's notes, the person who had it said he shouldn't look into it. And there's some sort of, I'm pretty sure it mentioned in the notes about something inside it.
Hmm.
And so it could be the thing that's inside that's doing the whole stealing souls. So why don't we just paint it black, the whole block, thick black paint, so no one can actually look at it inside it. Or we could even seal it up in a clay brick or something and have it built into something.
That sounds like a plan.
I'm thinking of painting it, if we have it painted black, just have it locked up in a safe somewhere, or just put somewhere no one will find.
Just make like a concrete brick out of it. Just drop it into concrete. And build. There will be a building somewhere that's been built. Just drop it in there.
I think we should just paint it black first, because that'll be the quickest option.
I mean, true. But we don't know whether that's not still working. It's not logical.
True, but if they can't see into it, it might help. And I do have somewhere it could be hidden. It could be just locked up. But on the other hand, if for some reason the paint doesn't stick or doesn't seem to work, then we could have it set in like a clay block, like a brick, and hide it that way.
Yeah.
But it's just an idea, just to make it so even if someone finds it, unless they remove that, it's...
Yeah, they just think it's like a brick.
Yeah.
Maybe it's ending up in a wall somewhere.
Okay, so with your cunning plan in development, you return back to the house. See, the hansom cab, not the hansom cab, the carriage has already returned. You see Bo putting the carriage away, and it looks like the others have just got back.
Oh, look, there they are. So how about we catch up? They're already back, or are we just the ones coming?
Everyone is back.
Everyone is back. Okay, so what? So how did you guys? How did it go?
The crow got scared away.
So does that mean there's nothing on your end?
Something. So there is something. Apparently there is a big bad badger who's doing something to the coffins.
A badger that's doing something to coffins.
Let's make it. I'm going to be clear. Sorry. We went to the graveyards and we saw that there was a problem with some of the graves on the place. One of the graves was totally I don't know, Mr. Higgins here could go down in the hole of the grave, and when he went in, what he saw was that the coffin was touched, and there was a big hole, big enough to let a man through, in the coffin, in the ground, leading to the coffin.
The lead-lined coffin itself was torn apart and broken apart as if something had broken out of it. It was very off-putting.
Do you want to hear more?
So was there, like, said something about a tunnel, or?
Yeah, there was a tunnel going into the ground.
So something dug into there, or something dug out?
Yeah, and the strange part of it is that almost all the coffins, all the graves in this area were touched.
Is this just like normal burials, not any of the like family crypts or anything like that?
Found burials.
The only one that wasn't touched in this area was the grave of Arabella Gray.
And all of them were up against the far wall at the back of
I mean, they're all quite fancy. These are all quite grand and impressive graves. It was quite a fancy part of the graveyard. Yeah, no, it was not like private mausoleums.
All the graves were in the last 2 to 3 years that were sunken.
So the grave that wasn't touched, where was it in relation to the other ones? Was it like the furthest away, or in the middle of them?
In the middle of them.
among
in the
them all.
middle. In the middle of them.
And McCrashley, what did you see over the wall? Was a garden?
Yeah, it looked like trees, maybe a house. I don't know.
Well, whatever is happening there, we're not to go there at night, according to the groundsman.
Just curious, the tunnel, which direction did that go to? Did it go to the house nearby, or?
As far as I could tell, when I was in the hole, it just went
central
straight
grave?
down.
It was mostly going downwards. You didn't go far enough down it to work out what was going on exactly with the tunnel. So you'd have to investigate further. No.
Sounds a great idea.
I told you there was something at the graveyard.
Well,
How did you know?
I was there yesterday.
we found something as well.
Yeah, I'll put out the key. More keys.
Well, we found the shed this belongs to. Looks like the door had been ripped open. We found someone in it who claimed to be I say claimed to. He was going by the name Tom. He turns out he's the night security guard for the depot. He was quite drunk, and it turns out, look by the sound of things and look of it, he hides out there. He's looks after the place for the wizard, or somebody calls the wizard who can do magic. But the thing that's strange is he's looks like Yates the butler.
What?
Recording in progress.
Oop.
Recording stopped.
I hit the wrong button. Ignore that. I messed this. Trying to unmute.
He was saying this. I think he said something about the wizard had made him like taller and younger by about 20 years or something. So, by the sound of it, it did the whole body swapping, mind swapping type thing.
You saw Yates. Yates was.
Yes.
Where is this place? I must go to. I must speak with him.
It's not Yates. So, the thing is, the creature that possessed Yates had actually come into my shop and should have recognized me. So this is a different person again in Yates's body. Looks like it's swapped with the night security guard, so could be a creature thing. Is now in the body of the night security man. But the other thing we found, I'd convinced the gentleman in the shed to give me a tour of all the local sheds, whilst Franco had a look inside. He found some sort of map on the wall, which is a lot of places marked up, which, like bookshops, this house, Bidwell's house, and the depot. And there was, I think, the artifact thing we were looking for wasn't there, but by the sound of it, the person he calls the wizard might return her at night.
Yeah. And I found the place where it lay. I mean, I think there was like a dent in the floor, like about that size, which fits the size we think that thing has. From the photo in Bidwell's.
There's a photograph which he had of it.
Where he found it. The key, exactly.
But by the sound of it, this cube thing is the artifact and it's quite dangerous. So we need to get hold of that. But
there is something strange I'm not following. Tom is now in the body of Yates.
Yes.
We can assume that Yates was in the body of Bidwell, yeah?
When he was murdered, yeah.
But where is the mind of Bidwell?
In Yaqub. Bidwell's mind and the monster in Yaqub switched places first.
Okay.
And the monster was in Bidwell's body, tried to get back. So he held the seance and went to the sanatorium because the monster wasn't able to talk, right? So the Yates got him into the sanatorium. So once in the sanatorium, he learned to talk, got out, as the monster got out, then switched with Yates, murdered Yates for putting him into the sanatorium, probably, and maybe to prevent Yates from doing something with the knowledge he might have gathered over the time, just by context. And then Yates's body with the monster in it went and switched with the night guard guy, so that Yates's body wasn't going to be recognized as the murderer of the I am throwing names. His master.
Bidwell.
There you go.
Bidwell.
Bidwell. There you go. Right, and so now the monster's in the night god's body, running around, doing whatever.
Might be
trying to find a way back home.
On the map. Might be checking out the bookshops or the other places during the day.
Yeah, is there anything that's not a bookshop, that's not our house or the house in
There's Bidwell's house.
Bidwell's house? Any place where we basically don't know what it is?
Where's the map?
Yeah. This is the Thames. And that's Bidwell's house. That's here. And I'll just hold it up and show everybody.
Keeper, do I have a copy of a normal map?
Yes, you do.
I will bring that out.
If you view the laser display screen, and for viewers at home, mystery voice. As you look over the map, sort of lining up the crosses on the creature's map with the real map, you can see that most of them are clustered around the Bloomsbury area and do seem to correspond to bookshops. It looks like this creature has marked down not just Davenport books, but a couple of other bookshops in the area. And
It's likely. Sorry. Go
also,
ahead. Sorry.
the British Library has been marked.
More than likely, he's looking for my book.
Yeah, that we know already.
But that's
I mean,
these must be the locations that he's gone to locate the
So
books.
he's maybe looking for another copy.
Of course he is. He wants to leave, and that's the only way you can leave.
but didn't we check your book and there wasn't anything in it that would allow him to leave?
I told you there was something in it that would allow him to leave, but we can't let it get into his hands because who knows what else might happen.
He might not decide to leave and bring something else here.
Exactly. That's the least we want to deal with. Ugh.
One thing that we should note is if he's in the security guard's body, chances are he's still wearing his night guard's uniform. And we've got a rough idea of the age, because he said he was...
I mean, you've seen this
20
man. He
years.
was not wearing a uniform. The
the one at the depot.
The one at the depot said he was the night guard, but that doesn't mean he has a uniform.
No. What I mean is the one who said he was the night guard. That
Yeah.
was Yates' body.
Yeah.
But the other person's body, whose mind is in Yates, might have been if the guard at the front of the depot, who's the normal guard for the day. Do you see what logic I'm going for?
I'm not too certain whether that's
Well,
if
may
he
have
were,
implied-
he would have never let us in because he would have seen me. He would have known me already. Because we fought him together.
What did the man look like? What was he wearing? The one you captured and put in the cellar?
He was wearing very warm clothes and like papers to stuff out everything, and he smelled really bad. He was like living on the streets, kind of decked out.
Yeah,
Like
Perhaps
like
he
a
was
street
the night
person.
guard if he lived his
or
life
living
in a shed.
in a shed and a
shed.
depot.
Yes, and saying he was the night guard.
Yeah, but you know, he's not like wearing uniform. He's wearing like what he could get, I guess.
Something that will keep him warm at night.
Yeah.
But,
If this Yikub, if the way into Yikub is through the cube, perhaps the cube contains Yikub.
Possibly.
Maybe if we broke the thing, what if we smashed it?
If you broke the thing, you'd release anything that's it's holding, including many more of the creatures that are possessing the bodies.
Maybe, but perhaps we could get Bidwell's mind back instead.
and destroy everything else.
But who
I think
says
it'll
that's...
I think it'll be a bad idea to break something when we don't know what will happen if we do.
How about we just bury it?
and bury Bidwell's mind forever.
By the sound of it, the Aboriginal people had had this cube for a long time. They'd been told to. It'd been created by an evil spirit. This cube stole souls, and they were tasked with basically guarding it to make sure it didn't fall into the wrong hands, so no one could use it. If it's something that could be destroyed, I suspect it would have been destroyed back then
Fair point.
by whoever told them. So by the sound of it, they didn't have the means to destroy it, or destroying it would be a very bad idea. I mean,
Did Bidwell actually kill all those people, or was it
he did. He killed the
the mind
leader.
of the creature who?
It's in his journal, he wrote up. He killed the Aboriginal leader, I think, or elder who was guarding it. And then when the rest of the Aboriginal people nearby tried to intervene to stop him, he and his party then killed them. It's all in his journal just over there.
It doesn't sound like my friend Bidwell, but perhaps
Madness makes us do strange things.
he was mad. Maybe we don't want Bidwell's mind back.
I don't know whether it's possible. I think the main thing is to either get hold of this artifact, make sure it can't be used again, seal it somewhere safe, and have to deal with this creature. I don't know what we could do with it. The other problem we got is the police are looking for Yates, the body of Yates isn't occupied by him.
Quite.
But we could always make a start now and have a look around the places marked on the map and try and find the person we were after. And he'll
Cool.
have the cube with him.
He's looking for bookshops.
Yep.
Can you? How many of your competitors do you know in London? There's got to be an awful lot of those in there. Because maybe he's not been at all of them yet. That might be a possibility.
Well, I can tell you that the library doesn't have the books.
But we could always end up there as he arrives if he's checking all these places. Depends
Yeah.
how long he's had to check them. Well,
Go on.
having said that, most of these places, he didn't try to break into my bookshop to get the book. He approached me to try and acquire the book. So chances are that'll be what he does with these other places. So he'll turn up during the day to ask at either the bookshops or the library about it. So there's a chance he's looking through them now.
I think I want to see if we could gather the belongings of Yates. I want to make sure of something. I want to see if he has a diary or something. But there was something. You see, when Bidwell came back from the sanatorium, he could have changed and swapped the body at this moment because of vengeance or something like that. But he didn't. He waited. The proof is that he waited because Higgins here saw Yates and Bidwell on the same night, the night of the seance. They were acting normal. Normal. Bidwell was a little strange, but they acted normal. The incident came afterwards. So what did... Yates discovered something. And the creature wanted to stop him.
Yates was also the person who got Bidwell locked up.
You know,
Yeah, but why...
we know it's something different. We know that Yates was trying to stop Bidwell from using that artifact more, because he was like behaving oddly or something. We remember we had Miss from Watts had a vision of it. How that happened. They were arguing, and that led to him being murdered. But so since they were arguing and he switched bodies, and then he made sure that he wouldn't be interfered with again by killing them.
Morgan, do you want to check Yates's journal or diary to see if he'd written anything about this?
Yeah, that's something I would like to check, yeah.
Yeah, so are you trying to head back to Bidwell's house to look through Yates's belongings there? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
I'm tempted to have a look at the other bookshops to see if he's turned up there.
Okay, so Mortimer's going to visit some bookshops. Morgan's going to Bidwell's house. And does anyone else have anywhere they'd like to head or anything else they'd like to be doing?
There's something that I would want to be later at night. That would be the rail, the shed again. So getting there, trying to see whether it still comes there, and then maybe just steal its brick.
Okay, so that's at night.
Yeah, besides the bookshops, if I've got time, I'll just go through the areas marked on the map, including the library. I've got a friend who works there.
Okay, do some asking around. Maddie and Higgins, did either of you had anything you'd like to do with the rest of the day?
I think I shall, tackle the other half. If Mortimer's going for the bookshops or whatever I can go to ones he's not going to right away.
We could either
That way
go
we
at the
can-
same time or just split them between us.
Yeah, I was thinking split between.
Okay, and Higgins, anything?
I feel that Higgins is still lost, but he does want to speak to Miss Carter, so he'll offer, Miss Carter, if you don't mind, I will accompany you, so we can perhaps talk on the way, and I can help you perhaps defend ourselves if something occurs, though you appear quite competent.
Sure. Yes, that sounds fine to me.
Okay, so everyone goes their separate ways. Mortimer and Maddie, I think, are both asking around bookshops, and Higgins is accompanying Maddie as Morgan heads back to Bidwell's house. Franco, what are you doing in the short term? Are you...
Is there somebody walking around alone right now?
Both Morgan and Mortimer are alone, yes.
I think I'm gonna go with Morgan this time around. I went with Mortimer this morning.
Okay.
It's just keep company.
So yes, Morgan and Franco are heading back to Bidwell's house over in Kensington. But we'll catch up with those two in a moment, because first of all, let's check in with the Bloomsbury gang, who are searching around bookshops and libraries. And Mortimer, the first two bookshops you go into have a very similar story. In the fairly early in the morning, I think now 3 days ago, if I'm getting my days count correctly, a drunken-seeming man burst into their bookshop and demanded to know if they had a copy of the Nameless Cults.
Yes, some fragrant person, some fragrant gentleman.
It wasn't particularly fragrant at this point because it was Yates. So this man matches Yates' description.
Was that on the same day that
the
he
same
turned
morning
up?
that he first arrived at yours? It seems that the bookshop a few streets over, he called in, demanded to know if they had Nameless Cults. They said, no, we don't have a copy of this book. And he stumbled on out.
That's good. Okay, I'll just keep going.
And one of them does point out that the police had been asking after a man matching the same description.
Yeah, definitely. The police, turns out, yes, definitely. They're looking after him to do with something to do with the murder of John Bidwell.
Oh, that horrible business over in Kensington. Oh, awful. How awful.
I believe it's strange. This was like the butler.
Oh, yeah, I heard. And there's a general theme of terrible thing happened.
Yes, this butler turned
Man
up.
clearly lost his mind going around asking for some nonsense cult book.
Exactly.
It's terrible what the cult does to people's minds, you know?
Complete madman.
I'm getting messed up in all this nonsense.
I was just going to pop around to see if anyone else had any trouble with this gentleman because he had turned up at my store for pretty much the same thing.
I heard he knocked on pretty much all the doors around here.
He didn't mention anywhere he was going, or just left?
No, just left when I said I didn't have it, but yeah. Mr. Cousins round the corner saw him as well, and over at Withrose they saw him.
Yeah, strange thing, these occultists.
Yeah, strange business.
No problem, thank you for your time.
No worries.
And I shall exit and keep going, so I'll probably leave the library to last.
Okay, so yeah, you head round a few more bookshops. And as you're doing, Maddie and Dee Dee are also circulating around Bloomsbury, knocking on doors.
I'm following Maddie without saying much, just off her shoulder, letting her lead. But it's clear I would like to speak to her. I just don't have the courage yet.
Okay.
And inside the shops, I'm basically going to say, I'm an associate of Dr. Davenport. And there was a request for a particular book, and I was wondering if you've received the same request. The individual
Yes,
gave us
what-
quite a
what-
bit of issue.
What book was this?
Nameless Cults.
Oh, yes, that gentleman came in. Did you know he's a wanted murderer?
Yes, he gave us quite a bit of trouble when he came into Dr. Davenport's shop. And we were wondering, he actually requested from Dr. Davenport a copy to be procured. Did he request that here?
Yeah, but I said I'm not really in the procurement business. I mean, do I look like the kind of bookshop that sells nameless cults? I sell poetry and novels here. I'd never even heard of the book, and I'm not going to go start hunting around book markets looking for something called Nameless Cults. Just
Has he been back after
everything
the first
about it
time he
sounds
came
wrong.
in?
No, I don't think so. Edward, had the drunkard who wanted cult books come back? No, but there was a vagrant yesterday also asking after the same book. No, day before yesterday. I showed him the door.
Okay, well, I'm assuming that you're going to see them again, either one or the other. Don't let him in. He gave us quite a bit of problems at Dr.
Oh
Davenport's.
no, well, as I said, the police have also come around asking after the first gentleman, not the second gentleman.
Well, it seems like the first gentleman hired on the second gentleman to fetch the book if you were able to procure it.
Right. You must really want this book.
I'm not quite sure why.
No. Well, thank you for the warning, Mom, and stay safe out there. There's book hunting madmen around.
Oh, cultists, you know?
I really don't.
They're not pleasant. Have a great day. Thank you very much. And I'll basically have that same conversation at each of the bookstores I go to.
Miss Carter, as we walk. Miss Carter, I can't help but wonder, my friend Bidwell, who appears to be mad, and my other friend Yates, who I placed in his position, we just need to find where this one man is now and then apprehend him, and then everything should be finished. How that does not seem to be at all related to the cemetery, and that's an entirely different issue with what you're speaking about, Earl Grey and whoever Arabella Grey is. I think there's nothing between them, unless you can enlighten me.
That's hard to say. I wasn't here at the beginning of everything.
Okay.
I think the graveyard and all of that is connected to the Bellefonts to some degree. And unfortunately, Mr. Bidwell is either in the middle of it or is completely unconnected, but it's happening at the same time. In which case, we have two cases.
Right, the Bellefonts again. The Belfont boy in Albrook. Very well.
But the connection is this book. This particular book.
The Nameless Cults book.
Yes.
I think I have a copy of that in my briefcase. Just kidding. Yes, let's see if we can locate a copy for ourselves, maybe?
No, we don't need to. The problem is that particular book was used frequently by the Bellefonts. And the creature that is searching for this book, there is something in this book that he needs to return to his home.
Well, I would say let him go and be done with it, but as you mentioned there, he could be releasing it more of these creatures.
Which is often the case with most of the spells in that book.
Nameless cults. Yeah. All right. I do have to work. I can't be following around for weeks at a time, but I'm willing to help if you can point me in a direction of help. I feel like I'm doing nothing.
The Belfonts need to die.
Oh, by the way, Reggie does speak quite fondly of you, but I'm not in the habit of killing people. And I thought the Belfonts were dead, other than the one in the sanatorium.
No, he needs to die.
Him. He's the last?
Yes, and he needs to die.
I understand that you believe he needs to die, but please don't ask me to kill him or anyone.
Oh,
I'm
no.
willing to help.
If I have to, I'll do it myself.
Fine. I suppose you say these types of things to Inspector Barnes.
Actually, I've never spoken to Inspector Barnes.
Huh. He was the one who sent me to the society.
He was an acquaintance of Detective Shaw, who was working with us for a while, and through her, an acquaintance of Lady Irene. I personally have never spoken with him.
Very well. Understood. Here we are at the next one on our list.
Okay. So after failing to hire a hitman, you continue asking around the bookshops, and they're selling a similar story. Many of them have seen this man come in, ask for this book. They had no idea what was going on, and they sent him on his way. And as the day is reaching its end, you realise between what Mortimer's covered and what you've covered, this man had seemingly tried to go into all bookshops in Bloomsbury that were open at that time in the morning. And none of them had the book, or knew where to find the book. And unless some of these bookkeepers are lying, it seems that Mortimer is the only one who then followed this up with an honest attempt to actually find the book. Or a dishonest attempt.
Miss Carter, does it feel like this person has only been in the bookshops in the morning? It seems like everyone says he comes in the morning. Where else would he be during the rest of the day?
That is a very good question. Maybe I'll have a conversation with Lady Irene tonight, if she's available. Keep her with the intention of using maybe a possible, I don't know, seance or scrying or something to figure out where he might be.
Interesting. Pushing Irene to her limits while she's not here. I see. Mortimer, you make your way around to the British Library last of all, and you find your acquaintance, Miss Merrywell, busy in her books. Assuming that she was the one you were looking for.
She was, yeah.
Good
morning.
Mortimer, sorry, I don't have much time today.
Oh, it's no trouble. I'm not going to be long. I think I mentioned that strange individual who's after that book, Nameless Cults. you remember I mentioned to you and you
Yes.
directed me to Lady Irene and Miss Carter?
Yes, were they able to help you with that?
They have, but I was just wondering whether the gentleman had turned up here himself asking about the book.
Not that I know of. No, sorry, I've been a bit... Is this important? Because I've got all fallen. Someone tried to break in last night, and it's a bit of a mess.
Oh. Someone tried to break in?
Yeah, last night.
It
It
sounds
happens
like...
from time to time, you know. We have a lot of valuable stuff.
And they didn't get away with anything?
I don't think so, but
They wouldn't
went
have
to
found
the-
a copy of the said book anyway, because you didn't have a copy.
I don't have a copy of that one, no. But they were rummaging around various... It seems that they got in, were in for quite a while and had quite a rummage around. We're just checking through the catalogue. Not everything is quite as well organised as it might be for that
Oh,
section.
it's no trouble.
Just checking through
yeah.
if anything's missing. It doesn't seem like anything is, but...
Yes, you have to be
Triple-checking.
careful. Yeah,
We
it sounds
really
like
do.
this individual's the one the police were after. So that's to do with Mr. Bidwell's murder.
Oh god, the murderer's in our library.
I think he's been going round trying to find copies of that book, so I was just coming to warn you really and let you know, but by the sound of it he's already tried.
Yes, well, as I said, we don't have it, and I've already checked our critical collections. He did not manage to make away with
it's
anything
no
from
trouble.
there.
You are very busy. That'll leave you
Yes,
to it
yes.
and catch up another day when you're less busy.
Oh, yes, we should take these sometime when I'm
Most
not
certainly.
accounting
Read
for
under
valuable
papers?
manuscripts. Oh,
No
that never
problem at all.
happens.
I know, but we can dream.
Yes, yes.
And I'll take care, and I shall make my exit.
Okay. As you make your exit, it's getting towards the end of the day, and I think it's high time we checked in on Franco and Morgan, the Kensington team, who had headed back over to Bidwell's house. There is no longer a police presence at the door. In fact, the house seems to have been shut up for the time being. The shutters are closed. No sign of light or movement or servants inside.
So, Morgan, what do you think we could find here? I mean, technically already looked everything up and down.
We looked everything about when we were looking something about Bidwell. We weren't exactly looking about something about Yates.
I mean, I've been in his room. Yates's.
No journal, nothing.
Nothing that I could have seen, but double check is better, and I'll go and open the door.
How are you opening the door?
Lockpicks.
Okay, let's see how well you do.
Or,
on this.
I could just try these keys that I found. I might try through those keys that I found and then check the lockpicks if those don't work.
I mean, you would think you found some random keys in a shed and you tried them on the next door you came across.
And they work.
They work. These
I
appear
mean, technically, they
One of
were
these-
Yates's keys, so
Yes, these appear to be Yates's keys.
I guess that's fair. Sometimes, just gotta try out. After you, good sir. And let's get in.
Yeah, but wait 2 seconds. And I take a knife out this time. Okay, and it's an army knife. So don't you think it's strange that you have the keys of Bidwell's house?
I mean, we found Yates's body. So obviously Yates's keys would be with Yates's body.
Yeah, well, the creatures may be hiding somewhere here.
That might be inconvenient, but I think we would have noticed because then the door would have been broken. Because, I took those.
But we haven't been around yet.
Well, we'll see. Let's go silent then if you're worried.
Okay, so moving quietly through the empty house, and it does genuinely seem to be an empty house. There's no sign of anyone moving around. Are you heading just straight to the servants' quarters? Is that your plan here?
Yep. And
Okay.
then I think I'll just go through every single other room once.
Okay. So as you head over to Yates's room, you see that his belongings have been removed. Probably, you presume, by the police. His personal artifacts are no longer present. And searching around through the rest of the house, it looks like someone has hastily strung dust sheets over furniture and sort of quickly shut up this house. However, as you move round to sort of the study area, it looks like either someone hasn't... Well, there's dust sheets there, but they're on the floor next to the desk.
So they were looking for something.
Someone was looking here and didn't even bother putting the dust sheets back on. Where are the dust sheets missing? I mean, everywhere in the study? Just search the entire thing again.
Yeah, as you search round, it definitely looks like, on top of you, the police, I think everyone at this point has searched this study. It definitely looks like someone else has searched it since the last time everyone else has searched this place.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they found what they're looking for, you can't be sure, but someone's definitely been digging through, looking for things. Someone's been in here.
I'd like to double check everything that was
Also,
in here because I was the first one to search this thing.
Make me a spot hidden, actually. There is
And
something
I
you
want
might
to
notice.
find if there's something missing that was there when I was...
Yes.
That's a hard success here.
All the paperwork and stuff that you saw the last time you were there was. There are, however, 3 things missing. 1, a book of star charts.
Mm-hmm.
2, a bottle of whiskey. And 3, another bottle of whiskey. It seems that the contents of Bidwell's drinks cabinet have been taken. And, in fact, now I'm going to say the hard spot hidden as you think your mind sort of flicks back, almost like comparing images of Bidwell's drinks cabinet, the bottle of whiskey that was there you saw last time, and the bottle of whiskey you saw in the man's hand in the shed at the goods yard.
Well, I guess those are identical. That's interesting. Well, so the guy that we saw in that shed, he was drinking Bidwell's whiskey.
So he's been here.
Yeah, someone's been looking through, and they took. I think there was a book of star charts there that they took, and everything else is still the way I think I'd left it. I was thinking they would have been searching for the diary, though.
You took the diary.
We took that. So they'd have to break in at the LAS to get that, and that might be something that we'd notice, I hope. And otherwise, yeah, star charts. What would you somebody use star charts for? This stuff gets way too complicated. But I think that is it for here. Except for, is there still whiskey and stuff in there? Or is the whiskey cabinet empty?
There is no whiskey left. Both bottles of whiskey that were there are taken.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. Do you think you still have something to search around for here, Morgan?
No, if everything has been taken from me, I don't think we can find something. But yeah, again, strange. Maybe there is maybe something in the book that's missing. That maybe there is something in this book. You know, a page.
I mean, it's star charts. Maybe Jacob is a star. I mean, wait. We were talking about. I think I remember weeks ago. I think when we were with talking with Belfont. I think it was about stars as well, because Jacobs might be a star. So him searching for that star charts book might be to try to, get another way home. Honestly, I don't mind if it's going home, but
Speaking about Belfont, am I wrong, or did you mention that he spoke about the Davenport?
He did.
I think it's time we speak about it with Dr. Mortimer, with Dr. Davenport.
As far as I know, Belfont said something about them being smugglers. Though I haven't seen any dishonesty from him that much. I have very, very keen nose for that.
You know, I don't. I'm not saying that there are smugglers. There are not, but Belfont spoke about them. I don't know if he spoke about him, if he spoke about his sister, about. I don't know. I don't say he did something wrong, but he spoke about them. If it was maybe to put a track on somebody else, you see, people sometimes do that. They have a name, they know somebody who can be, how can I tell? Could be the victim. You can be the culprit. They could be the culprit. So they put the name on. Yeah, indeed. So that's possible. But why? So I think we need to have a talk with Dr. Davenport. Maybe, yeah, I think I'm going to be honest. I was after the smugglers for a lot of years. So, yeah,
and then you're working together.
To be honest, for the moment, I don't care about the smuggling things. I just know that there is something bad that's going to happen, and I don't care for the moment.
Yeah. How good are you at sneaking about?
Sneaking?
Yeah, being unnoticed. I'd love some backup this evening, but I don't want somebody that's alerting anybody.
To be honest, I will not be of any help,
Okay.
I can find things that are hidden, but I have difficulty to hide myself, to be honest.
I mean, you could at least, stay in the vicinity, so if it gets loud, you could come and help.
Yeah, that I could do. But if you want to be sure, we can pass my home and I can bring some reinforcement if you see what I mean.
Well, I can't use any sort of reinforcement. I'm just good with running away. Which is basically survival strategy, but let's just go. We're no longer needing anything here, and if we get caught here, that's just gonna get a couple of more questions that I don't want to answer.
Okay. So you're heading back on out, and as the others finish their bookshop collectives, is the plan to go into the rail yard tonight?
That's my plan, yeah.
And if so, who is going?
I would go, depending on who'd be. I'd like somebody to be outside somewhere to to run in and help me in case shit goes south?
I'm going to turn up. I'll be going, but I'm going to make sure to bring a bottle of whiskey with me. Potentially laced with something that'll knock someone to sleep.
So Franco, Mortimer with the drugged whiskey.
Perfect.
Oh, might be worth us bringing the straitjacket in a carriage.
So,
Just in
As I
case.
picture the still so far fairly innocent Didi as he's watching Dr. Davenport gathering like the equipment for tonight's mission, which seems to involve straitjackets, whiskey, gun.
I'm going to double check the chloroform as well to make sure I've got a supply of that handy, just in case we need it.
Okay, so
Maddie
who
would
else is going?
Maddie would rather stay home in the nice light and rest, but if you're able to, you might be able to convince her to go.
Would Maddie be of help there? Is the question.
If I lose some sanity, yes.
Oh. Would I know that Miss Carter would be of help, though?
You were there at the bookshop.
True. Miss Carter, would you maybe be there as well as a support in case it's really needed?
I'd rather not. It's quite dark out.
I understand, but if you stay far away enough, you could maybe light a light.
I guess I would not want to stand alone, though.
Well, yeah, obviously. I think Mr. McCrashley is gonna have his gun with him. And I think Mr. Davenport will also stay outside for me to sneak in. So you'd not be alone. You'd just be, the cavalry in case it's gone really badly. So
All right.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, so is Didi
Before we-
also joining this little escapade into the darkness? You're muted.
I would like to, but I believe my wife, Dolores, would not be happy if I just didn't come home. So, and Dee Dee is afraid to do that. So Dee Dee's going to bow out on this little mission,
Okay.
unfortunately.
All right, so Didi stays behind as the rest of you head on over to the rail yards.
I am going to slip that note under Irene's door to arrange a conversation with her later.
Okay, so you arrange a conversation for Irene for later. And just as you pile into the carriage and head on over up towards the big fenced-in goods yard.
As you pull out in the carriage, Dee Dee hurries after you and flags you down and jumps in and says he's coming anyway.
No. Okay, so a sudden change of heart, you hop on board as just both like whoa as the carriage trots off away from Grosvenor Square, and yeah, to be honest, a carriage is possibly unnecessary. It is only like 3 streets away from your house, but you head on over towards the goods yard entrance, where you can see the gate is chained shut. The big sign saying no unauthorized access.
Well, I'll be looking around and see whether there's anybody that could see what I'm about to do.
So there's no guard.
There is no guard on the outside, no. Does not appear to be anyone standing guard. They seem to be putting their trust in a big high fence. In fences we trust.
Well, it
So-
doesn't seem like we need to drug anybody.
Boom.
So, you know what? You could just give me the whiskey, the drug one, and I'll, in case, can't just drug somebody with it. Or just leave it next to the guy. I mean, he's believing in wizards, so suddenly plopping up with bottle of whiskey,
Magic whiskey.
magic whiskey.
Because the fairies left it.
Exactly.
But yeah, there doesn't seem to be anyone currently immediately near the gates, but you reckon that if you linger too long or make too much noise, you might draw attention.
Sure. So I'd move up to the gate silently, stealthily, and try to open the lock there.
Okay, let's give me a locksmithing roll. Lockpick roll.
As if it
Extreme
was
success.
as if I had a key.
Yes. Beautiful. You're in.
Okay. And then keep going directly, slowly hiding in the shadows to the
Okay. Are you going alone?
I am going alone.
Alright, please give me a stealth roll.
I leave the door unlocked so that the others can come in, can rush to my aid if it's necessary. Success.
Yeah, let me just make a quick alteration here. We have to make a slight OBS rearrangement. Yeah. Go for it. Mm-hmm. Ah! Oh, no, it hasn't readjusted. That's all good. Whew, I thought OBS was going to fall to bits then. But yes. Alright. I don't need to readjust. That's fine. Carry on.
As I'm getting closer and closer, I'll be getting slower and slower and more careful. And then I'll just slightly open that broken door and peek in. Looking at the place where I know that the other guy was sleeping, or monster would be sleeping.
Okay, you can see the...
Wait.
As you push open the door, you can see the form of one figure slumped up against the side of the crates of boxes. An empty bottle of whiskey lolled from his hand. And as the light from the door, the crack of the door is coming open, reflects off the eyes of the other man watching you.
Hi.
And it's not just the light of the door. His face, his bearded, wrinkled face, is also lit by this dim, faint blue glow coming off the object in his hands. This crystalline cube. About yay big. And as the man's eyes lock with you, and as he sees you across this dark shack, I would like a power roll from Franco, please. You feel something. For a brief moment, you feel yourself drawn. The glitter, the look of this cube. You feel it almost something tugging and pulling at you, but you manage to resist its pull. And you have now a moment to do something.
Just chucking that bottle at its face.
Okay, give me a throw check. Those of you back by the gate, you've just been left by Franco as he's gone off on a solo mission. The bottle smashes against them. Well, I think, to be honest, it's a fairly hefty whiskey bottle. The bottle just hits the man in the face. with a solid thump. And he flinches back for a moment, his concentration knocked off. And you hear the other man waking, and the bearded man, the thing, says, "Get him!" to
Yeah.
the rather bemused-looking Yates body.
How far is he away from me? I mean, the
10
guy
feet?
with
15 feet? Not very far. I can't do. I realise now I actually should do this in meters for you. I'm so used to having to translate everything into
Fine.
feet for...
I played enough D&D to know what 15 feet is. That's 3 steps. So I'm going to try to use the moment when the bottle hits to go in, grab the block, the artifact, yank it, and run.
Alright. Ooh, I'm going to say... Either going to make this a contested check here. Roll me some strength to see if you can grab this thing off him. You're there, locked, wrestling back and forth.
If I give you 10 points of luck,
Then you've got it.
then I've got it. Who needs luck anyway? That brings me below 30 luck, so if I die, I die. Fine.
Oh, we're not. That rule is not in place for this
Oh,
game.
you're right. That's not a. It's fine. Okay.
That's a fault rule. Yeah.
I'm taking it, and
There's no
bolting.
lucky escapes in this game. Okay, so legging it out. What is your move speed, Franco? Are you a fast person or a slow person?
I'm a 7.
I think that's really reasonably quick. And
It's not really, really fast, but
It's
it's
not
not
really fast.
slow.
but you're legging it back towards the gate with these 2 people on your trail. In front, this bearded, short man, the body that was once old Tom's. Behind, the slightly more confused mind of old Tom in the body of Yates, who still seems very unsure about what's going on. But they're both following behind as you start racing off down through this cluttered yard, and you can see ahead of you the path you're taking seems to be half blocked by crates and boxes and barrels, and I'm going to need a climb roll here. Just to scramble over. You've taken this shortcut back.
Aren't we pretty far up there?
Pardon?
Are we not far from him? I thought we were.
You are at the gate. He went in alone.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought we would have wandered in to avoid being noticed by people.
Yeah, that's
You
what-
Yeah,
mentioned
if you would like, you could have wandered into the yard.
we would have wandered in to avoid looking suspicious outside the gates.
Well, this is the first moment you will definitely notice because I'll just
Yes.
run into the crates.
You hear a crashing sound from further into the yard as, Franco, you're being slowed down by these crates. You're being gained on.
I'm going to head straight there, wherever that
Yeah.
noise has come from.
Okay, so Mortimer and Morgan race off towards this sound.
Of course.
Dee Dee after them. Maddie?
Maddie doesn't want to be left alone in the dark, so she's going after as well.
Okay, all 4 of you racing into where you can see Franco about to be caught up by the bearded figure who you were previously holding captive.
And I'm going to scream.
McCrashley, you're the fastest. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'm going to scream. I'm going to point my rifle on him, and I'm going to say, "Don't dare to touch him, laddie, or else I'll put a bullet in your head."
Okay. I'm going to make... Please give me an intimidation check. Bear in mind, this is going to be hard. Partly because your audience here is not entirely au fait with the danger of guns.
Yeah, but what if I shoot just in front of his feet?
Make me an intimidation. If you want,
Okay.
you can either fire a shot or make me an intimidation roll. Your choice. Bear in mind, you've only got so many shots in this gun.
I've got 5 normally.
Hang on, was this what kind of gun was this again?
It's a Winchester model.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he had a shotgun, and I'm like, no, it has not a shotgun.
No shotgun. No, I don't like shotguns. It's not fun.
All right.
So I'm going to shoot at his feet, actually, when I say this.
Okay, roll me an intimidation roll. I'm going to give you a bonus die for having shot at his feet and demonstrated. Okay, so it's a bonus, so you get to roll twice, which is essentially what the purple button does. It just rolls multiple times.
Hard success.
The figure reels to a halt as this gunshot echoes around the rail yard. The sound echoing off the brick buildings nearby, like a bunch of pigeons go flying off into the night. But yeah, Franco, you're able to get out of reach of the man. What?
Franco, behind me now.
Give it back! Give it back!
Laddie.
No.
Laddie, you have two choices here. Or the next bullet will be in your body, or you just leave. Or you can come with us if you like to. If you want a cube, just come with us. We have a nice cellar for you if you like to.
The thing makes a sound. It's even through an alien language, is a sound of disgust and dislike. It takes a step back away from you, nudging back the drunk man.
If you promise to be polite, if you promise to stay with us, we even won't tie you this fiercely this time.
And then, so who's got the cube at the moment?
Franco.
Franco has the cube.
Yeah, because I'm not sure how much faster Morgan was than Mortimer. I would have tried to get to Franco because I would have had my doctor's bag with me to try and see if he'll just drop it in the bag, but depends whether I catch him.
But this is... We've moved kind of out of the vague rules of speed. Yeah, but I mean, Morgan's definitely the fastest around, followed by Maddie and Dee Dee, actually.
Mortimer's
So if either of you,
got
if
mine.
either Maddie or Dee Dee want to do anything, you are a little quicker off the mark.
I see the glow from the cube, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going straight for the cube. And I'll stand close to Franco and shoot, I've got huge pockets in my skirt, so I'll open one next to him.
Well, actually, as you stand, as the creature is spitting in disgust at like Morgan's suggestion, it's as Maddie draws near to the cube. The creature sort of eyes flick from the cube to Maddie, and Maddie, I need a power roll from you.
Ooh, okay. Would you prefer green or purple?
Green, and this is... You don't have any bonus?
That is a critical.
That
was a 1.
She rolled a 1. Thank you to the god of Steve Perry for granting us this glorious 1, which is greatly desirable here. So, the creature, you feel this push as this creature reaches out to try and, via the cube, take a hold of you. And I'm going to say on this one instead, all of you are surprised as there is this bright flash of light. And the bearded man reels backwards and collapses in a heap onto the ground.
Wait, what?
I didn't do it.
Go.
What's the other guy doing?
Looking confused. Wizard! You killed the wizard!
Is he dead?
I'm just going to ask the same question. Is he still alive, or is he just collapsed?
Do you...
I'll put that in Miss Carter's pocket because it's quite obvious that she was whatever this was.
Dee Dee sits
just
on the
leave
dead, on the
alone.
down bearded man. Sits on him.
He's not moving.
Is he breathing?
Okay, just in case.
He
I think I've got him.
he is, however, breathing. And as you sit down, you hear a kind of oomph from him. Get off.
Has he swapped with Yates? What's the Yates one doing then?
The Yates body is mumbling on about the fact that you've killed his wizard.
Who are you?
Why am I here?
What's your name?
And he blinks and then he looks up and goes, Higgins, get off me! Get off me, Higgins!
Slap him in the face.
Hey!
Who are you?
John! I'm John! Why am I here?
John who? John who?
Well,
You bastard! You killed
Wait, stop. What did you say? What did you say you was? Bitwell?
John Bidwell!
Oh.
That's a problem. Oh my goodness, that's a problem.
Where did
So-
you just come from then, Bidwell?
Oh, send me back! Send me back! I want to go back!
You were in
What
that
the
city,
fuck?
weren't you?
Yes! Get off! Higgins, would you please get off me? Why are you sat on me? Why
Because
do
he's
you
not
smell
Higgins.
so bad?
Because you're not in your body.
What's going on?
Bidwell, tell me my middle name.
D! Stay with your first name! Nobody knows what your name is.
How do
You're
we
not
know
allowed
you're
to go
Bidwell?
back.
No, send me back, please, send me back.
You're not
Go
allowed
back.
to go back.
Oh,
Yeah. Bitwell, I think you'll have some explanation to do now.
I think explanations are owed all round. But
It looks that way, doesn't it? I think we'll have to all go somewhere to have a talk
and at this point you can hear what sounds like the whistle, a police whistle, and the sound of running feet, drawn by the sound of a gunshot in this train yard. It sounds like the police are coming.
We should, have that conversation somewhere private.
Morgan,
Yep.
aim your gun on him, and I point to the body of Yates.
What?
Yep.
You're coming with us, well. Sorry.
No, the police are coming.
Yep.
We've just apprehended a murderer.
Indeed.
That's how the police will see it.
Oh.
So we can wait for the police to get here.
That sounds like a very good plan. So, by the clock, it is past time for us to end this session. And although there are many things left to resolve and many things left a little vague, I think this may be where we have to leave for today, as the police arrive to find that you have successfully apprehended Henry Yates, the murderer of John Bidwell. Never mind that John Bidwell is present, currently wearing the body of unfortunate old Tom. And that things are going to get very confusing in the police interview room. That is all a question for the future.